Whether you love or hate Chinese car manufacturers, you have to admit they're doing their bit for automotive history. For too long now, our legacy car makers have been building Russian doll EVs, cars which are very bland and boring, apart from some exceptions. For instance, like the Hyundai Ioniq 5N I've recently had on the channel, which I claimed is the best EV I've ever driven. And if you want to see that video, you can click somewhere above the screen. But brands like MG are pushing the boundaries. In 2021, they revealed that they would be building their MG Cyberster, which is an all-electric sports car with 2 seats and just under 500 brake horsepower. And when that car was revealed, I said, there's no way that's coming to the UK, or if it does, it won't have any of the bells and whistles, it will be dumbed down. No gull-wing doors. And of course, you can see what's standing beside me now. This is the MG Cyberster. They did bring it to the UK, the spicy version with just under 500 brake horsepower and the gull wing doors. Hi guys, my name's Tish and welcome back to my channel Auto Social UK. In today's video, I'll be finally getting to drive the MG Cyberster, an all-electric sports car that I've been super excited to get my hands on. So if you want to find out everything I think about the MG Cyberster and see how it stacks up against the EV high-performance cars like the Hyundai Ioniq 5N, then please keep watching. And if you like new car reviews and car content, then you're in the right place. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. To me, this is a beautiful design, and it's a car which has been turning heads. No car that I've had in recent months has turned heads quite like this. It's something different, it's something interesting, and yeah, it's something a little bit garish. And love that or hate that, it can't be denied. The MG have built something very special. So let's take a closer look at this beautiful design. Combining contemporary design with a nod to the classic automotive aesthetics, its exterior showcases a sleek, aerodynamic silhouette that emphasises performance, with sharp lines and a dynamic stance that command attention on the road. The front fascia features a bold grille with striking LED headlamps, giving the car a modern yet aggressive look. Judging by the response online, the rear is definitely a love it or hate it. It's muscular, with a sporty gloss black diffuser and modern arrow-shaped lights. Let me know what you think of the design down below. The MG Cyberster's charging statistics are actually quite competitive. If you find a 150 kilowatt fast charger, then you can top up from around 10 to 80% in about 30 minutes because it accepts 144 kilowatts of power, which is quite competitive to other cars on the market. If you've got a home wall box, like mine, which accepts 7 kilowatts of power, then the charge will take you around 10 hours to get to full. So you'll probably be topping up your Cyberster a couple of times a week for most drivers. So what do you do with your home charger the rest of the week when it's not being used? Well, I have a very clever answer to that. Introducing today's sponsor. Turn your EV into an income generator with Juice Up, the app that lets you rent out your charger to other drivers using a friendly online community. Members can access bookable, affordable and reliable EV charging in places where public chargers may be unavailable. And with promo code AUTOSOCIAL, you can enjoy 180 days free with 0 service fees. So download Juice Up for iPhone and Android now and electrify your journeys. So in my mind, the Cyberster is a design which any manufacturer should be proud to own. But there is one controversial element about this car and, well, about this brand. And I'd like to get your input into this. And it's, does MG lean too much on their British heritage? We know nowadays that they share almost nothing with the brand which come before. So to put things like 100th anniversary on the wing of this Cyberster, is that being a little bit cheeky to use the history of the brand to benefit from their new products? Or when they're building cars this good, does it really matter? Let me know in the comments down below. Okay, let's check out the interior. Well, it certainly is a party piece. There's no doubt about that. From the gull wing doors to the design to the interior as well. The interior of this car perfectly matches the exterior, although not exactly in colourway. But I'm glad about that. It has this light grey interior. You've got a mix of light grey leather, and then you've got the really pale grey Alcantara in the centre, with the little glimpses of these kind of hard bits of plastic. They feel like they've tried everything in this cabin to make it look as sporty as possible, but sometimes it feels a tiny bit cheap. It's to be expected, but I have to remember that this isn't a super cheap MG. This is actually quite an expensive MG, between £55,000 to £65,000. But should we be getting these plastic elements inside this cabin, or should we be getting more metal and titanium like we've got on these lovely Bose speakers? These feel super high quality and like they belong in a much more premium car, although this is a premium car. I do have to keep reminding myself that. But you do have leather which surrounds all the way of this dashboard and also covering this centre console. You've got a nice grab handle, you've got Alcantara on the inside of this grab handle, and pretty much everywhere you touch and feel does feel quite high quality. Now the screen setup, they take a little while to get used to. You've got 3 screens. In fact, actually, you've got 4 screens. There's so many I almost forget. On the left-hand side, you've got almost like a mini infotainment system. And then you have your central screen, as you would in any normal car. And then on the right-hand side, you have another touch screen, another infotainment system. And I've really enjoyed using this. I think it's really easy to use and it's very intuitive as to where it's placed. We should have more touchscreens placed here because it's so difficult fiddling around with this central one. And then in the centre, you have a climate control system. It's probably a little bit of an overkill and it is taking me ages to get used to where everything is. But I believe this is something that if you spent a little bit of time with, if you owned one of these cars, suddenly you'd intuitively know where everything is and it would all be really easy to use. You have got some shortcut buttons for your climate settings along the top. And then in the centre here, you've got 2 cup holders, which I really love. You can actually increase the size of these cup holders. That feels really cool. And then you've got your controls for your roof and for your doors. So I think it's about time we put the roof up and we took a look at how much headroom you actually get inside the Cyberster. Perfect. So it goes up really quickly. But as you can see, I've got an okay level of headroom. It's not ideal. And if you are really tall, you might struggle in this car. There's quite a lot of controls for these seats and you'll find them on the doors like you would in a Mercedes. I really like these seats actually. They feel very premium. But you can't go particularly low. And I'll talk a bit more about that when I drive this car. The steering wheel I would have loved if that was also electronic, but it does just have a lever underneath and then you can control it by reach and also rake as well. So I'm glad that you can move that quite a lot, but that would have been nice if that was electric. Lots of lovely buttons on the steering wheel. And now I think it's about time I brought this roof back down and let's get out on the road. When I left my house about 15 minutes ago, it was glorious sunshine. But of course, in true British weather fashion, all of the grey clouds have started to surround me. So for how long I'll be able to have this roof down, I'm not sure. But I'm going to enjoy it whilst I can because I love a convertible car and what a luxury to be driving an EV in convertible form. I can't wait until there's more of them out there. However, it does have some slight negatives and you start to realise why not many electric cars are convertibles. And in this MG Cyberster, you sit on the batteries. So it's got a 77 kilowatt hour battery, reasonably large, and you do sit on top of it. And that means your head is quite high up, meaning, as you can see, your hair gets blown around quite a lot in this car. I definitely should have put my hair up. Didn't even think about it before I jumped in. And that's a little bit of a shame because I love the low slung driving position that you get in roadsters. So It's a tiny bit of a negative that this car you do sit up a bit higher, but honestly, it's worth the trade-off to get a fun convertible car. Now let's talk about the performance of the MG Cyberster, because this is a pretty nippy thing. It's available in two specifications. The Trophy model has a rear-mounted electric motor with 340 horsepower and 475 newton-meters of torque. It can go from 0 to 62 in just 5 seconds. This top-spec model, however, the GT, has two electric motors with a total of 496 horsepower and a whopping 725 newton-meters of torque. So it's definitely not slow. In fact, it's very quick, and especially in a straight line. So this thing can sprint from 0 to 62 in under 3.5 seconds. In fact, it's quicker in a straight line than the other performance EV I've just driven, which is the Hyundai Ioniq 5N. But it's a little bit mean to have these cars back to back, because in my opinion, they're non-comparable. The MG Cyberster is a fast car, but it's not particularly performance orientated. It's just a roadster which has been fitted with a high performance battery and electric motors to back it up. And in this model, there's two electric motors. You've got all-wheel drive, and that's what gives it so much power and so much torque. Saying that, the MG Cyberster is based on a modified version of the MG4 electric hatchback, but it does use quality parts from well-known brands like Bosch and Brembo to improve its driving experience over that model. However, it's on the heavier side. It weighs 1,885 kilograms for the rear-wheel drive Trophy and an extra 100 kilograms for this all-wheel drive GT. And MG haven't really tackled the weight with any advanced features like torque vectoring or four-wheel steering. For me, it encourages a relaxed driving style rather than a rushed experience, which feels more suited to the lower powered Trophy model. When driven harder, it can feel a bit unsettled. In this dual motor GT, you can accelerate smoothly out of corners, and that makes it fun to drive, but it's not the most engaging option out there. And for me, it's glaringly obvious that it missed out on some of that performance passion that went into the 5N. But like I said, that is a little bit of an unfair comparison, because the Hyundai has been upgraded in pretty much every single way. And if you're looking for a car that you can take on track, you can really push to its limits, then it's going to be the Hyundai that you want to go for. But of course, the MG Cyberster has its own kind of special thing, and that is the fact that it is this wonderful GT convertible. And I do think that if you've got the money to spend and you've already got either another car or another EV in the garage and you want a nice weekend car, which is a lot of fun to drive and actually gets a lot of looks and attention, then this is a really good option. But of course, as I went over in my previous HS video, MGs haven't had the best experience when it comes to their reliability, and this is something to think about if you're going for this car. Try not to rely on having your car on the road at all times, because some owners of the MG4, which this car shares a lot of its components with, have found to have quite a few issues with their cars. But on the MG video, lots of MG owners come back to say that they've had no problems at all. So it's all things to consider. But of course, you do also have to remember that you do get a 7-year warranty when it comes to this Cyberster, so maybe it's not too much to worry about. The higher power GT also zaps a bit of range. This higher powered model can achieve around 276 miles, which is pretty good. However, ditch the extra motor and the Trophy model boosts this to 316 miles, furthering my decision that that is the more sensible option. It's not easy to build a risky car. In fact, it's just that. Risky. It's much easier to build a car which you know is tried and tested. Take, for instance, your electric SUV. That's the reason why there's so many, because brands know that they sell, and that's why they produce them. Producing something like this, which isn't exactly practical, is sometimes a bit of a chance. But I'm so pleased that MG took this chance. Sure, They may lean a little bit too much on their British heritage, which has long gone. But personally, I think when they're building a car like this, it's something to be proud of. And I think the brand from the past would be proud that this is where their new company is going. But let me know, what do you think of the MG Cyberster? Do you think they've scrimped out when it comes to those performance credentials? It could have been better, but I think it's pretty darn good. Let me know all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below. I really hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. And if you want to see more, then you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button. Until next time, guys. See you later.